victimized by our own government. One man whom they fear, yet who millions love. One man who is willing to take the poison arrows of lawfare. One man whose voice has been taken away by a corrupt judge operating in a corrupt system. One man who has been ridiculed and insulted. One man who refused to back down. One man who refused to back down. One man who refused to back down. One man who stands between us and them. One man that wants to see America protected again. One man who wants to see America prosper again. One man who understands that a man is a man and a woman is a woman. One man who understands and protects the blessing of life. One man who wants to restore American exceptionalism. One man who once again wants to make America that shining city on a hill for all to see. A place where all the people of the world glowingly set their eyes upon. America. One man who unashamedly wants to make America great again. That one man is Donald Trump.
This is Fanfare with Barry Cunningham.
What's up, everybody, for the 7:30 evening show. I just want to bring you up to speed on a few things. Nothing happens the way it's supposed to. I'm just saying. It's crazy out there. Lots of news, a whole lot of news, but not the news you thought you were going to get. You see, there's days I turn on the camera and flip on the microphone, and I can't wait to jump into this show. And then there's other days where it sucks. Tonight is like one of those things that's kind of in between. There's a lot of news, but what you were hoping for isn't there. And there's a lot of people, even some people in the chat here, who are just, they hear what you, I could say the sky is blue, and they'd say, Barry said the sky was red. They take from it what they want. That's fine. I can't do anything about that. I'm not going to put anybody's arm behind their back and twist them. But something weird is going on. And you have to at least acknowledge that things aren't making any sense. And if you're not willing to even look and say, something's wrong here. If you're not willing to even do that, without blaming anybody or telling someone that they're undermining or they're turning their back or they're flip-flopping. Just as a reasonable adult, if I was sitting across the table from you and we were in a restaurant and we're having some dinner, like, hey man, did you notice this? Well, how did it make you feel? You see, I'm having a lot of that right now. Something doesn't make any sense. Now, I don't even try to understand all of the machinations that may be happening behind the scenes. But I spent the better half of 3 hours perusing all kinds of news, looking at different stories and going, what the hell does this mean? What does this mean? And I'm never going to be one of those, how can I say it, influencers who will just take anything and run with it, and they'll run positive or they'll run negative. I can't do that. I have to assess. And I tell you what I've assessed. Some of you may not like what I assess. Some of you may want a conviction, a complete decision on what you're seeing, but there's not enough information there to take and make a decision. And so you sit back, it's sort of like baking a cake, and you got all the ingredients, but it's not going to make a cake if a couple of the ingredients aren't there. You don't have it in the refrigerator. You don't have any eggs, no milk. And it looks like a lopsided, I'm not eating that. That's what I'm looking at today. But yet I'm looking at people on either side of the Republican Party, of MAGA, telling you that it's a cake or not a cake. Instead of just looking at this and going, I don't know what this is. And so right now I've probably confused you guys for like the last 2 minutes, because some of you are thinking, what in the hell is Barry talking about? Well, one thing I stand firm on is people don't know how to win. And at this point, I don't know who out there is looking out for their own ass versus looking out for everybody as a collective. And it's starting to get very hard, because I don't know who's trying to build their following or build their brand. Is there an ulterior motive here? Because I can't tell. I want us all to win. I want us to be on this team. Like Trump always says, the big, beautiful bill. I'd like to have us a big, beautiful movement. But for some reason, there's a lot of fractioning going on where people are pointing fingers. And I'm talking about from the politicians in the House and the Senate, all the way down to the people on X and YouTube. It is so weird. And I can't be the only one experiencing it. I have to believe you're experiencing it as well. You'll go from one video to the next video, and so said this, and so said that. And if you stop and sit back and listen to what you say yourself, or just take an accounting of what you've posted, you go back, wait a second, I thought this meant that. I thought, nothing makes sense. So tonight and moving forward, what I want to do is begin looking at things. I'm just going to tell you what I see. And then I'll give you my opinion. And then in the comment section, please give yours. And please don't do anything. And I'm begging you, please, as an adult, here's one thing that doesn't help. When other people are talking, for you to tell them that they are wrong without you being able to prove that they are wrong, that does not help. If somebody says, and you'll hear it tonight, somebody says, Pam Bondi sucks. And you go, no, you can't say that because she's really working hard behind the scenes and you have no idea. But then again, the person who says she sucks, you can't even judge. That's what I'm saying. There cannot be, I come from a sports world, and your performance is measured on the field. Did you win? Did you lose? What's your record? I don't care what you did 6 weeks ago. What did you do this past Sunday or Saturday on the field? And today is one of those days where from influencer to politician, I'm going to show you some stuff. And you're like, what? What is going on? What is going on? So without further ado, let me just cover a couple things of what I'm talking about. Before that, let me show you a couple of things that President Trump posted, and then we'll get into some news, because weird stuff. And I'm sure some of you have seen it. I'll look in the chat and we'll get it. All right, here President Trump says, we are making great progress on the one big beautiful bill. Our economy is doing well, but it's going to boom in a way never seen before. We're going to do no tax on tips, no tax on senior Social Security, no tax on overtime, and much more. It will be the biggest tax cut for middle and working class Americans by far, and it's time for Main Street to win, make America great again. That sounds great. Did I have this tweet? Let me see if I have this one. There was some information that went out today. Oh, here it is. So President Trump, let me go ahead and move this over so I have them in order. President Trump put this out at, let's see here, May 7th, today at 5:49 p.m. Just a little while ago. Hey, listen, we're making good progress on this big, beautiful bill, right? And then I see this thing, and it's like, When was this put out? This was put out at 1:02. So what happened between 1 o'clock and 7 p.m.? Don't know. This one here. Speaker Johnson canceled the crucial vote to slash $9 billion in wasteful spending, including $8.3 billion from USAID's bloated budget and $1.1 billion from NPR PBS propaganda mills. The Trump-backed Doge plan, led by Elon Musk, exposed the pork, but spineless rhinos quietly killed the vote this week. Congress was scheduled to vote on rescissions this week to cut the waste that Doge found, but the votes were quietly canceled. USAID and other programs like PBS and NPR were to be targeted. Johnson is preparing to recess the House for another 4-day vacation. Let's go back to what the boss said. All right, just a little while ago, the boss put this out. Tell me how they jive with what you're seeing. Over here, hey, we're going on vacation again. Sorry. We'll take it up, and we're not going to put... And then the boss says, hey, we're making great progress. Makes you sit back, doesn't it? And go, well, how the hell are you making progress when at the same time you're telling us we're making progress? You got these guys going, no, we don't want to take this out right now, and we're going to go on vacation for 4 days. Something doesn't make any sense. I can't figure that out. The president, who I believe and I trust implicitly, is telling us we're making great progress. Speaker of the House, hey, adios for 4 days. I don't know about you, progress in my definition does not mean that people on your team decide, we're going to take some time off. Why? Like Ted Nugent said yesterday, don't ask why, ask what is going on. And again, what I just showed you, and I showed you the timestamps, that's not me making it up, that's not me having an opinion. That's two completely different messages. I'm intelligent, I think. My wife may think otherwise. Ashley may think even differently. But I consider myself intelligent. And I can read. And I'm looking at, oh, this is great. We're going to do this. Yeah, no, we're going on vacation. Anybody behind these things talking to each other? Are you picking up the phone and calling Trump? Or is it everything? I mean, everything a mirage? Is everything an illusion just to keep everybody guessing? Which could be another option. Hey, we don't know what's going on. We don't know what's going on. It's crazy. This dropped at 3:51 p.m. All right, here's something else. Didn't even see this anywhere. Largest fentanyl bust in DEA history. Authorities seize over 400 kilograms of fentanyl. Now ask yourself, for those of you not familiar with the metric system, that's almost 850 pounds of fentanyl. Yesterday, Pam Bondi showed you, like in a vial, a couple grains of salt. And they just picked up 800 pounds. 2.2, yeah, 800 plus pounds. And we've seen fentanyl busts and more fentanyl busts. And so here's my other dilemma question now. If it takes something like this, something off the tip of your finger can kill you in fentanyl, where the hell is all this fentanyl going? I mean, that could kill the entire country. Don't think I'm lying to you. Go look it up and find out what the dosage that can kill a human being. How much fentanyl out there can kill a human being? And we're seeing bust after bust after bust, kilos and hundreds of kilos. Where is this stuff going? What's it intended for? If you were going to drop some in a water supply or something, you'd probably need like a capsule. So let me just pour this cup in. and they're finding literally almost tons. Doesn't make any sense, Barry. Where's all this fentanyl going? Even if I'm a bad guy, where am I shipping all this to? Who's using it? Has it ever crossed your mind? If the top of a needle worth of fentanyl can kill people, and it's like this big, and you find out there's 800 pounds of this powder? I've never been a drug dealer. I'm trying to think, how am I even selling 800 pounds of something that can kill you with a microscopic dose? What are all these people doing with fentanyl? I don't know. I don't know. SV just texted me. Let me see something breaking. I love when he texts me the breaking stuff. I can always go check. Let me see here. Oh, I thought there was something else. Breaking. Multiple students stabbed outside of Santa Ana High School. Well, I guess we're going to be banning knives pretty soon. Let me guess what they look like. I don't know. Let me say. Crazy world. Crazy, crazy world. So we got those two stories, right? And as we have those two stories, we look at this, and this next one I want to show you. This is from Eric, yeah. This is fantastic news. President Trump, and this was, again, at 7:02 p.m. It just broke. President Trump terminates funding for Harvard, $2.2 billion. After the court said you couldn't stop funding Harvard. I guess you can. I guess you can. Confused? Yup. Yep, you have to be confused. Is President Trump executing the Jacksonian plan at this point? And those of you guys who are like, what the hell is a Jacksonian plan? You may want to go look up at Andrew Jackson and find out what Andrew Jackson did when the courts were going against him. Tom Homan comes out and says, not only are we going to continue with deportations, we're going to triple them. Well, wait a minute. The court said you can't do it. You got to have due process and blah, blah, blah. What? Nothing is making sense. They're not stopping. They're still shipping people out. He's still terminating money. They're like, you can't do it. You get on every liberal channel. Oh, he can't do it. The court said you can't. And Trump's like, I don't care. All of this tells you or gives you an inclination that he's doing something. And nobody seems to be able to stop him. As I've said many a times, who are you going to call? Can't call the U.S. Marshals. Can't call, the Department of Justice. Can't call the FBI. He's just doing what he's got to do. What exactly is going on? People say constitutional crisis. I mean, I don't find it to be constitutional crisis. I'm like, do it, man. Do what you got to do. But something's happening. And I don't see even Fox saying, okay, obviously President Trump's ignoring all these rules, or he's saying you don't have any authority over me, you're not the boss of me, and I'm just going to keep going. Are you paying attention to all this stuff? Because it's starting to get a little crazy. And he looked pissed today because of what I think Jerome Powell did. Yeah, might be crazy. Many of you used to, maybe I hope you don't at this point. Many of you probably followed Jordan Peterson. Jordan Peterson's turned into quite the nut. Mike Cernovich posted this. A Pence presidency would restore normalcy at Mike Pence. Now, obviously, this was from June of 2023. And then, of course, Mike Pence came out on CNN and said that President Trump's tariffs are bad. I mean, cheap stuff is good for the American dream. I don't know about you, but every time I've laid my head down to sleep and want something, maybe as a little boy going, yeah, I wish I had the cheapest baseball glove mom and dad could find. Said no kid ever. when you're thinking about what your wife or something is going to get you for a present. Oh, I hope she gets me some cheap Chinese socks. I'd love that. No, my American dream does not mesh with what China is selling. And this guy was a vice president. Was considered presidential. Make sense to you? Everyone will say he's a sellout, but hey, that's more than a sellout. That's a complete ideological change. Your cheap stuff from China is part of the American dream. I saw this by Gunther Eagleman. And tell me if this aligns with your thinking right now. I haven't seen the base this upset with the House GOP and Senate GOP ever. President Trump campaigned on promises to the American people, and he's trying to deliver those promises, and our GOP is actively stopping the promises the American people overwhelmingly voted for. We the people are pissed. That describe you? Should. It absolutely should. Describes me. I feel let down by these people because nothing seems to be making sense. Why are we having such a hard time getting our stuff done when we went to the polls and showed everybody this is what we want? Doesn't make any sense. And then Mike Cernovich posted this, and if Rush Limbaugh appeared today, he would be non-platformed by 99% of the so-called conservative media and would be labeled woke right. These people want your money. They don't want any solutions. It's better for the country to get worse, more for them to bitch about. I love the first comment. I hate that you're so right about this. Hate it that you're so right. And when I saw this, and this was at, as you can see the timestamp, 6 o'clock p.m. tonight, I was like, oh, I'm not the only one. I'm not the only one seeing this. I got to talk about it. Rush Limbaugh, who was the standard, would be considered that guy over there by today's influencers. Because they seem to be out for the money. Just like he said here, they want your money, they don't want any solution. It's better for the country to get worse. More for them to bitch about. Whereas guys like Rush Limbaugh and everything I've tried to study about Rush was try to get everybody focused on going the same direction. Get in the boat, row it. Everybody row it together. And right now, I feel like there's people disjointed everywhere. As bad as the left has no leadership, other than President Trump, how many leaders on the right can you point to? How many? Remember, there's supposed to be, 200 and something in the House, 100 in the Senate, 300 or something. 250? 100. Yeah, 250. And it just seems like people are all over the place with their own agendas. I'm going to show you some of that own agenda stuff here tonight. But a lot of this, you have to think of yourself. You have to begin thinking, yeah, I'm seeing that. I'm seeing that a whole lot. And if you are truthful with yourself, you're going to understand what's going on. Like, tell me if you knew this. This is a guy that many podcasters have had on their shows. Wait till you hear this piece, and then tell me afterwards if you go, oh, what the hell is that? Here we go.
This Sunday, C-SPAN premieres January 6th, Views from the House. 14 members of Congress shared stories of what they saw, heard, and experienced that day, including Oklahoma Republican Markwayne Mullin. He told us about his conversation with a police officer who fatally shot a woman in the Capitol.
I guarantee you, I don't know for a fact, but I guarantee you he's never had to pull his weapon in a manner like that before. He was the last person in the world that ever wanted to use force like that. And he wasn't wanting to do that. I know for a fact because after it happened, he came over and he was physically and emotionally distraught. And I actually gave him a hug. And I said, sir, you did what you had to do. And I mean that. Unfortunately, the young lady, her family's life has changed, and it was an unfortunate situation that she lost her life and some people lost their loved ones. But the lieutenant's life has also changed too, because if it's the first time you've ever had to use lethal force, that doesn't ever leave you. And it wasn't his choice. He didn't show up to work that day to have to do that. He was doing his job, and he got put in a situation where he had to do his job because there was members still in the balcony. And if you're going to present your weapon in a manner and give commands and they still don't listen and they still approach, you don't have a choice, because either you have to, at that point, discharge your weapon in a manner of self-defense, or that weapon's going to be taken away from you. It's going to be used on you, and it's going to put all of our lives in danger too.
Ashley Babbitt was probably, 5'7", 5'8", unarmed, and you had to console this guy? That make any sense to you? Maybe it was the heat of the moment. The guy was like, I can't believe I just killed this woman, blah, blah, blah. Don't worry, bro, it's okay. She shouldn't have been here. Huh? What am I seeing? What are we seeing? It's Twilight Zone stuff. This is crazy. You shot an unarmed little woman who posed absolutely no threat to you or anybody else. If any of you carries firearms, if you were a cop or anything else, you tell me how this little diminutive woman, whatever she was doing, unarmed, posed a threat. And it's too bad he had to pull his weapon. Because, in that split second, you have to determine if this little white woman who doesn't have any weapon, hasn't shown any weapon, is a danger to you because she's got a red flipping hat on. I'm sorry, Twilight Zone. And that's a big Republican on our side. Crazy. Let me take a few comments before I go. Somebody's like, she should have complied. Yeah? Does that mean she should die? Oh, God. It's easy to fire a warning shot. Yep. Mm-hmm. She was a veteran. What in the hell is wrong with these people? I'm beyond dumbfounded. I doubt if he would say that today. When was that filmed? I'm not sure when it was filmed, but why would you say it at all? Why would you say that at all about, ask some law enforcement. I don't know if Maximus is in here, but ask law enforcement. Would you pull your gun if you did not feel that an imminent threat is upon you? And then tell me how, and here's the problem I have. This man has never had to even answer for that. Not even through Congress. Nobody's saying, let's bring this dude up here and let's find out here. I swear, yeah, tell us what the heck was going on and why you feel the need to use deadly force. Because I'm telling you, any one of us who did that, we'd be in jail. If someone accosted you on the street and said, give me your pocketbook, but they didn't make anything toward you, and they were like this little, and you said, pow. Yeah, okay. You're absolutely right. Now here's one of our police officers. These comments are BS. Barry would be in jail if that was me. Yep. Remember, not too long ago, maybe, let me jar your memory a little bit. There was this black dude who was high on drugs, and the police officers knelt on his knee, and when they knelt on his knee, they all went to jail because he died. This dude shot somebody. But we're supposed to say that video was from a while ago. Yeah, he may have changed his mind. Really? Really? Okay, that's what I'm saying. You see it? You see it right here in your own chat. There's always an excuse. Instead of thinking critically and asking questions, it's always, he did, well, she could have. Okay? I'm telling you right now, as a big guy, I know, and I told Robin this many a times, please don't argue with nuts, because if I have to step in and beat the crap out of somebody, they're going to arrest me, and if I have to go to court, they're going to look at me, and then they're going to look at the other person, and they're going to look back at me, and I know the look. I've seen it. I've seen it from police officers. You felt threatened? Yeah, I was all in my fee-fees and I had to whoop his ass. Nah, it doesn't work that way. I'm sorry. You're going to have to answer for that guy's teeth in your arms and the other guy's teeth in your arms as you were trying to pummel them. Luckily, the boss knew some cops. But you guys can keep making excuses because we're going to have we had about 2 hours of excuse making coming up here. All right, so let's segue into what's going to happen tonight. We're going to do our normal thing now is becoming normal, where we're going to jump over to Rumble because a lot of the stuff that I got to talk to you about, about the guy who owned the island and all that stuff with Prince Andrew, we can't talk about it here because these people don't like you talking about it. So we're going to cover some other news, and then we're going to jump into about what Andy was doing and what's been released tonight, if you know what I mean, and I think you do. But before that, let's look at Kash Patel at the hearing he had today, and then we'll have some fun listening to what they had to say about him.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. Chairman Rogers, Chairman Cole, Ranking Member Mann, Ranking Member DeLore, and members of the committee. It is an extreme honor and a privilege to be sitting here today as the 9th Director of the FBI. President Trump has set some priorities out and a new focus for federal law enforcement. The FBI has heard those directions, and we are determined to deliver on our crime-fighting and national security mission with renewed vigor. I'd like to highlight just a few things the FBI has undertaken in the few short months.
I see a comment now. I had to stop. People are like, Barry, don't engage with the nuts. Oh, this one's a good one. No offense, Barry, but you're Jamaican. You have a lineage that goes to another country. So before I tell you to screw off, and I would probably use a much stronger word to you. It involves 2 middle fingers. I am not Jamaican. I am American. I was born here in the state of Connecticut. You need to mind your business about shit you don't know, because you look ignorant. I have a lineage that goes to another country. Newsflash, so do you. So do you. Trust me, you may be too stupid to know that, but you have a lineage that goes back to a foreign country as well. Unless you were running through the woods here, and even then, there's some doubts. You have a lineage from another country. But I will always stop somebody who doubts my patriotic pledge of allegiance. I am an American. 100% America. I was born in Connecticut. So I hate to embarrass you like that, but you look stupid. Back to Kash. Oh my gosh.
I've been at the helm. We have apprehended 3 of the FBI's most top 10 wanted fugitives in the world. 3 in less than 3 months. We've joined our partners at DHS and conducted targeted operations to round up fugitives around the country. For instance, in Massachusetts alone, we apprehended 370 violent fugitives. We seized, along with our partners at DHS and the Department of Defense in one operation down off the coast of Florida, 44,000 pounds of illicit narcotics. That's $500 million of pure narcotics that would have hit the streets, are now off the streets permanently. And as part of Operation Allied Corridor, we've targeted approximately 3,000 illegal aliens with ties to criminal organizations who are eligible for deportation or removal. Children. Today, as we talked about with the Attorney General in Operation Restore Justice, prioritizing crimes against children is a priority of mine and will continue to be of the FBI. Just this morning, we announced that we executed over 450 search warrants and have rounded up in the last month alone over 400 individuals who choose to enact acts of violence against our children. 205 in the last week alone, to include individuals in positions of trust, such as teachers and law enforcement officers. They are committing some of the most heinous crimes against the most innocent of our society, and we will not tolerate it. It will remain a priority for us. As we double down on criminal threats, we're never going to stop pursuing the mission of defending the homeland. Foreign spies are trying to steal our technology, are trying to steal our agricultural products and seeds. Cyber actors are looking to infiltrate our networks on a daily basis from all parts of the world. And foreign and domestic terrorists continue their plotting, both here and overseas. It's hard not to overstate the operational tempo that the FBI must act and will continue to act since I've been at the helm in these last 3 months. The mission is a no-fail mission because if we fail, then American lives will be endangered or lost. Every operation we run comes with one end state in mind: to disrupt or stop criminal activity or threats to the homeland. It's not I that do the work of the FBI. It's the agents, the intel analysts, the SOS, and the support staff throughout our field offices that take it to the streets every single day. It's our linguists who translate and transcribe from dialects that most people on earth don't even know about in offices on a 24/7 basis so that our search warrants can be signed out, so that our arrest warrants can be signed and approved by judges. It's the everyday women of the FBI across the country, many of them I've gotten to meet in my short time. And prior to that, in my time as a terrorism prosecutor, worked hand in glove with them, both here in America and overseas. Our Joint Terrorism Task Force is a heartbeat of what defends this country from domestic and international threats of terrorism. Every one of our 55 field offices has a Joint Terrorism Task Force situated in almost every single state in this country, covering every single state in this country. We've stopped many plots, including against targeting energy facilities in Baltimore, and of course, the tragic New Orleans day plot, terrorist attack. One of our initiatives, of course, is to continue to fight against illicit fentanyl trafficking and narcotics trafficking into the country. Every 7 minutes in this country, as of last year, an individual, an American citizen, is killed from a drug overdose. To that end, we have enacted, along with our partners across the interagency in the Southwest Border Intelligence Center, the Counter Cartel Coordination Center, or as what we call it, the FBI, the C4. We have flexed assets over to that area and are using it as a regional hub to countermand the narcotics coming across the southern border. It's important efforts like these that not just stop the narcotics traffickers and narco-terrorists from entering.
So I know this sounds bland, but I wanted you to hear what he was saying in his opening statement. And let me know if anything's missing in this statement. Not what I'm going to tell you. Listen to what he's saying here. There's only a couple of minutes left. And tell me when he's done, because this meeting here was for a budget appropriation. He's looking for money to fund the FBI. And so he's telling the congressional people on the panel, this is what we're doing as the FBI, and this is why we need the funding. But tell me as he's going through if, maybe there's something he doesn't mention.
Our country, but from pouring drugs in. We must work with the interagency to accomplish this goal. We will work with the interagency to accomplish this goal. It's not an FBI mission alone. We will partner with anyone and everyone willing to achieve this mission set. In one of my first actions as director, I gave my agents and intel analysts an opportunity to go out and serve in the field. And many of those individuals took that opportunity and have requested to be redeployed into the field, into every one of your states across this country. We are moving more than 1,000 positions outside of the Washington, D.C. area. And that's not the Washington field office or Hoover alone. That's what we call the NCR, the National Capital Region. Approximately 11,000-ish FBI employees of the 37,000 that are currently employed work inside the NCR. We need some of those field operatives out in the field. We need some of those intelligence analysts out in the field. We need their expertise in your states, in your counties, in your towns, because the threat to this country in 2025 is everywhere. and we cannot quarterback that mission from Washington, D.C. alone. We will remain here in Washington with the cadre we need to support the field offices, absolutely, but we need to embolden our efforts in the field. We're also, under my leadership, looking to cut waste, fraud, and abuse. We have found duplicative line item contracts already within the FBI, and we don't want to waste taxpayer dollars at the Bureau. We don't want to pay twice for something when we have been only needed to pay once. Modernizing and prioritizing the FBI is a critical component of what we need to do. Our capabilities and our infrastructure at the FBI are outdated. They have been the opposite of streamlined. An agent in our field office in El Paso does not have the same toolkit as an agent in our field offices covering the Dakotas as our agent in New York City. That's unacceptable to me. We will fix that. But building this new infrastructure is going to take not just a public effort, it's going to take a public-private partnership engagement, which we have already executed on. Members of this committee are important, critical partners to the fight against crime in this country and to defending our homeland. And you know better than anyone that our no-fail mission continues and can't continue without your investment and your support. I rely on your expertise. I rely on our conversations that I have with you here and offline to tell me where the problem sets are in this country, because I don't know where they all are. And then we can deploy assets to attack the growing problem sets. Our enemies are getting more and more creative by the day. And we need to keep up not just with the intelligence, but with you, who represent the men and women in the United States across this country. You have the ground level knowledge that we need to help fight this message. Without the funds to get ahead of our adversaries, I agree, we risk making trade-offs that will jeopardize the safety of Americans. So it's my commitment to you to work with you during this appropriations process to address budgetary needs, shortfalls, and also think innovatively to make sure we fund the FBI for a future. Thank you very much.
In your book.
Okay, so he's going in front of Congress. He's asking for money to do the job of the FBI. Obviously, I know you can't disclose a lot of what you're doing in a public forum on a video. Nope, that goes without saying. But if someone was asking you for money, you would probably want a little bit more, I don't know, beef to that. What kind of things are you doing? You're going to stop drug trafficking. I saw the big bust with the child trafficking today. You did this. Is there anything else you're doing that's not ultra top secret? Because there's got to be things. Are you buying more weapons? Are you doing this? Are you doing that? Are you moving buildings? Are you moving people? I mean, you mentioned 1,300, but if people's question is, you said you were just going to make the main building evaporate. You're just going to shut it down, turn it to a museum. Not my words. I'm just bringing them up to you. I support Kash Patel, but again, things don't make much sense. You heard something, then you hear something different. That means there's a question. I know there's going to be people in the chat, Barry, you're not understanding. Yeah, I understand. I understand that there's a lot out there that we don't know, that we're never going to know, that he and Pam Bondi and Dan all walked into. What I'm saying is, being that you had such feverish support, that support was based upon what you said before. And now you're relying on the continued support for whatever you're doing without any of the same communication, which we understand certain of it is sensitive. But you see President Trump, he's out there all the time. You see Scott Bessent, he's out there all the time. There's a way to talk to people and answer questions without giving up the goods. Christopher Wray used to be out there all the time. He'd even lie to people, but he'd be out there. So my support for Kash Patel has not wavered. My questioning is, what the hell's going on? But I did love this exchange, how he put this woman in her place kind of hard.
Your recent book, Government Gangsters, you include an appendix with a list of names that people have referred to as an enemies list. Now, I know you will claim it's just an appendix, not an enemies list. So let's focus on how the president sees it, on what the president calls it. And you proudly display his, quote, on the front cover of your book. The president calls this a brilliant roadmap, a blueprint. And I have not even raised your storied children's book, The Plot Against the King. It concerns me how many people from this blueprint have been targeted with executive orders and FBI investigations. The FBI cannot be weaponized, and under your leadership, it has been nothing but a weapon alongside the president to go after the president's perceived opponents, to stifle dissent and free speech. A few weeks ago, as we saw through a social media...
See, lady, I don't know what you're talking about because that's what we're all waiting for. So please tell me, do you know something we don't? Because we're all bated breath waiting for him to go after these people. Have you seen it? Are they doing something behind the scenes that we don't know about that she's kind of just communicating with him with? But how is Kash Patel weaponized the FBI when we haven't seen any of these so-called opponents arrested? Where they at? What the hell was she just talking about? And I wondered it all day as people were posting this piece over and over. I'm like, yo, listen to what she just said. You are weaponizing it, and you're arresting the opponent. Oh, wait. I haven't seen one. Please tell me, did we miss it? Is there somebody in custody that we would love to know? Because I haven't seen it. And you guys can tell me if you've seen it, but I haven't seen it.
Post that you quickly deleted. The FBI arrested a judge in Wisconsin for correctly asking ICE officials if they had a judicial warrant instead of an administrative warrant, which they did not have. Despite this judge following the law, on the morning of April the 25th, the FBI arrested the judge in an escalation of the weaponization of the FBI under your leadership. Let me be clear. A functioning democracy does not lock up judges. I am gravely concerned about the utter lack of independence of the FBI and its weaponization under your leadership. I am concerned that the president is using this book, your book, as a blueprint, as he has said. It's a blueprint.
Well, if he was using the book as a blueprint in the enemies list, what enemies have been arrested? Again, I'm just listening to her talk. She's a congresswoman from, Pennsylvania. And she's like, the president is using this list. And nobody's asking questions. Wait. How's he using it? Sometimes you just have to listen. I understand these people pontificate a lot and they just say stuff for the record. But at the same time, nobody asked her what the hell you're talking about.
Print for revenge. And I am concerned that your eagerness, a childlike giddiness to carry out the president's revenge tour, you've shown yourself to be unserious in your statements before you were sworn in and some after. You've shown yourself unfit to lead this important agency. I was an impeachment manager for President Trump's second impeachment. It was a...
Okay, wait a second. She's calling him unfit and unserious, and then bragging about being an impeachment manager for against President Trump. A complete clown show. You're saying he's the bad guy, and I am much better because I impeached President Trump. We had all the goodies on him. You don't have any of this. You're just out there willy-nilly just going after mythical opponents, which we haven't seen any of yet. Because maybe she would be one of the ones. I don't know.
Had solemn duty. And so I wanted to ask you about that. Mr. Patel, as you and the president continue to weaponize and investigate his perceived enemies, as you follow this blueprint...
All right, so she just said it again. So I don't know if this woman realized what she was saying. She's, I forget which committee this is, but she said a couple times that they're actually investigating his enemies on that list. So I wonder if she's in some intelligence committee, is she seeing things that we aren't seeing? Is she actually telling us that she knows what's actually going on behind the scenes? Not my words. Her words. How could you be accusing him of doing something and investigating people and arresting people if none of that has happened? I know, I'm just letting you guys hear what she has to say. And remember, these people type this stuff up. They have other people, I showed you that earlier, to talk to them, and she just says this. And you can't, it would be hard for you to say she's just lying, because that's not something you'd want to lie about. You can say he's doing this and he's doing that, but are you lying about the investigations? You would think the press would have been all over this afterwards and go, what investigations? If I was on the panel, Madeline here just said something. I got to ask some questions. Tell me who you're investigating. Oh, I'm sorry, I can't divulge that. Oh, so you are investigating. Well, Madeline seems to think you are.
Print. When can I, a former impeachment manager, expect the FBI at my door?
Ma'am, you want to know who was targeted by a weaponized FBI? Me.
Go get him, Cash.
You want to know how and why?
Well,
you want to know what I'm doing to fix it?
That. Let me move on.
Well, you should read the book, because there's no enemies list on that book.
So
there are people that violated their constitutional obligations and their duties to the American people, and they were rightly called out. And you should give that book to every one of your constituents so they can read about it.
I won't be doing that.
That's their loss.
During your Senate confirmation hearing.
That was nice. That was juicy. You need to let all your buddies know what's coming. That's how I read that. I don't know how you read it. You can look in the chat. Did he just do a Tom Homan on her? You'll see what's coming. I mean, because that's how I took it. I mean, those are throwdown words. You need to show it to all your other buddies. Let them know what's coming. That's how I took it. Tell me how you took it.
Rings. You repeatedly denied having any involvement as a private citizen in the firing of FBI officials who engaged in the prosecution against January 6 insurrectionists, the violent rioters who beat and killed Capitol police officers, and whom you...
I got to ask Grok that. Which rioters beat and killed Capitol police officers? Anyone want to know? That's a bold-faced lie.
...referred to as political prisoners. Since then, multiple whistleblowers have come forward, and we know that you likely committed perjury. At the same hearing, you claimed you were not familiar with Stu Peters, an anti-Semitic Holocaust denier, despite the fact that you appeared on Mr. Peters' podcast 8 separate times. 8 times. And you claimed not to recall. Mr. Patel, my second question is, should we worry more about your memory or your veracity?
We should worry more about your lack of candor. You're accusing me of committing perjury. Tell the American people how I broke the law and committed a felony. Have the audacity to actually put the facts forward instead of lying for political banter so you can have a 20-second donation hit.
The answer is both. I believe that
the answer is you're failing, not me.
Play my time.
Go ahead.
Yeah, she wanted to go crawl under a rock after that one. I mean, you pissed him off. You accused him of basically being a perjurer. Not basically, she said it. You're a perjurist. You lie. Man, I know how I know exactly how he feels, because when people accuse you of things that you didn't do, that kind of pisses you off. I'm kind of, I guess here I'm rewinding that because I want to hear that again. Let's listen to that again, because you could tell Cash was pissed.
Blueprint. When can I, a former impeachment manager, expect the FBI at my door?
Ma'am, you want to know who was targeted by a weaponized FBI? Me. You want to know how and why?
Well,
you want to know what I'm doing to fix it?
Let me move on.
Well, you should read the book, because there's no enemies list on that book. There are people that violated their constitutional obligations and their duties to the American people, and they were rightly called out. And you should give that book to every one of your constituents so they can read about it.
I won't be doing that.
That's their loss.
During your Senate confirmation hearings, you repeatedly denied having any involvement as a private citizen in the firing of FBI officials who engaged in the prosecution against January 6 insurrectionists, the violent rioters who beat and killed Capitol police officers, and whom you referred to as political prisoners. Since then, multiple whistleblowers have come forward, and we know that you likely committed perjury. At the same hearing, You claimed you were not familiar with Stu Peters, an anti-Semitic Holocaust denier, despite the fact that you appeared on Mr. Peters' podcast 8 separate times. 8 times. And you claimed not to recall. Mr. Patel, my second question is, should we worry more about your memory or your veracity?
We should worry more about your lack of candor. You're accusing me of committing perjury. Tell the American people how I broke the law and committed a felony. Have the audacity to actually put the facts forward instead of lying for political banter so you can have a 20-second donation hit.
The answer is both. I believe that
the answer is you're failing, not me.
Play my time.
Go ahead.
Ah, gosh, I had to see that. I had to see that for a second time. It was so juicy because when I saw that and I saw that fire, that's when it got me. I'm like, okay, that's the Kash Patel we know. The Kash Patel who's been walking around in the suits and nodding and everything else. We're like, where's that dude we saw before he got nominated? Where's that dude it's in there and he's pissed. And so I wanted to show you guys that and wanted to show it to you twice because that probably told us more than the entirety of the damn hearing. The anger's still there. The fire's still there. The passion's still there. He's putting up a veneer. See, some of you guys thought I lost support of Kash. That's what I was looking to see. I was looking, where's that dude, man? Oh, there we go. Oh, that's him. That's who you want to see. That tells you right there, something is going on. Got to put on the face. Got to read the stuff. I'm the director here, but don't piss me off because I'm pissed off. Just a little bit of that scab. You want to see what? And you see her face. She was like, "Oh yeah," because now you done pissed him off. You remember the movie 40-Year-Old Virgin? And here now, he's here now. You pissed him off. And it was such fire. I mean, it came like that. You want to challenge me? How about this? And boom. And so that gave me a little bit of solace. I sat back and went, okay, the fire's there. It's still burning. He's still pissed about everything these Democrats have done, and he has to keep up the facade. I hope you guys read that as well. He got pissed off. You saw him. The snake just came up and was ready to be like a mongoose. Well, the snake can't be a mongoose because a mongoose will eat the snake. He looked like the mongoose chasing that snake up on that panel. Speaking of mongoose going after people, then concurrently, while that hearing was going on, they're having another hearing down the hall. This hearing was about DEI and men and women's sports. And here, check out some of this one.
Ranking Member Stansberry and members of the subcommittee, my name is Fatima Goss-Graves, and I'm President and CEO at the National Women's Law Center. We've been around since 1972, when Title IX was first enacted, and we've been working to create equal opportunity for women and girls in sports and in society ever since. Women and girls face many obstacles to equal opportunity in sports: fewer financial resources than men's programs, worse facilities, endemic sexual abuse. And student athletes facing these persistent inequities are among the more than 12,000 people who have complained about discrimination in school, but who actually really can't pursue justice because the Trump administration has laid off half the staff whose jobs at the Department of Education it was to respond to these complaints. Students, including disabled kids, survivors of campus sexual assault, and other forms of discrimination, are now basically in a situation where their complaints are being warehoused. So, for over 50 years, the National Women's Law Center has been fighting for equality and will continue to fight until every girl has the same chance to play as everyone else. And as an expert on women's rights...
So as you're listening to her, it sounds good. You're here to fight for women. You're here to fight for girls, right? You know, the National Women's Law Center, and you've been doing it for 50 years. You would think at this point they're about supporting women. But if you don't know what a woman is, Well, let her tell you.
In sports and in society, I want to be clear here. Transgender women do not pose a threat to women's sports.
If you don't know the difference, I don't want you advocating for me. I don't want you advocating for my grandkids. Transgender women? No. There's no such thing, as Uncle Ted told you yesterday, too. I can't say much until we do the flip over, but you just heard her. She spent like the first 30 seconds or a minute talking about how she's there to fight for women, except ones that aren't.
Transgender women belong in sports. And I'm here because I care about all women and girls in sport. And I know that bullying trans kids and creating panic about the existence of trans people will not make us safer. It won't.
How does it make you unsafe? You see, you said you were with an organization that for 50 years has been fighting for the rights of girls and women. Can you tell me, Miss Graves, since 50 years ago, so you're going to go back to, I guess, 1978, 80, whatever, 90, in the last 30, 40 years, let's say last 20 years. In the last 20 years, when did you start seeing, Transformers? Because you say you've been around forever. When it was your first file ever opened up for a Transformer? I bet you it wasn't until like 4 or 5 years ago when everyone started pushing it. So what happened beforehand? If it was always there, how come in that 50 years there were none? We never had it. Never went to my school, never went to your school. We never had to worry about, hey, that dude is playing on the girls' soccer. Nope, didn't happen. Complete lie. It just dropped out of the sky. Aliens dropped it or something and said, oh, boom, you are now going to have this happen. But now you're trying to gaslight everybody and say, it's always been this way. I was born this way. Well, what happened before? How did we just get this species? How did it just promulgate? Did it do the opposite of the dinosaurs? The dinosaurs disappeared and the Transformers appeared. Nobody can tell me where's if you look at the chain, the apes and you've seen that thing where they become man. Where is the chart that shows how you became a Transformer? Let me know if you know where it is.
Solve any of the problems that I named about inequity in sports. And the fixation on harming trans kids, it will not fix the problems of the American people.
What's a Transformer kid? I mean, I grew up quite masculine. I was always in sports, so I wasn't one of those kids who put on mommy's high heels or any of that kind of stuff. I remember looking at her bra and going, what's this thing? Give me that. Oh, okay. I'm going to go play football. Okay. Never once did I look at Mama's underwear and go, it looks a little bit different than my BVDs. Let me go ahead and it's nice and soft. No! It didn't happen. And it didn't happen to anybody I knew. Ever. And so what the hell is a Transformer kid? I caught myself. What's a Transformer kid? Anybody want to tell me? How does it happen? How did it just... How? I had the birds and bees talk. You had the birds and bees talk when you were growing up. And no one ever said, you know what? And by the way, the birds and the bees, and then there's this thing called a burpee. It's half bird and half bee. And then it crosses over and it can become a bee that becomes... It doesn't make any sense. Tell me how it happened. Tell me the origination of a Transformer kid. Can anybody explain that? How do one day you got junk and the next day you don't got junk? I will talk to them straight up. Don't tell me what you're thinking now. Tell me how it happened. I can even somehow digest the homosexual life. It's like, hey, I was always attracted. Okay, you were attracted to boys. You were okay. I'll just say that you were attracted. It grew on you. How'd you become a Transformer kid? Did you wake up one day and went, I'm tired of standing up. I want to do like them. I want to sit down and pee. Because they're not having intercourse yet. So it can't be sexual. So how does a Transformer kid happen? It's crazy.
Because at the National Women's Law Center, we hear from people every day about the real problems that they are facing. They're concerned about reproductive freedom. They're struggling to put food on the table.
Wait. Are you telling me what goes between your legs and the confusion of what's between your legs stops you from getting a job and eating? You ever been to a Starbucks? The Democrats are flipping nuts. Again, none of this makes sense. They've just completely welded it into your life. She talks so great. She's got such a good vocabulary. She's pleasant. And, the Transformers, it hurts them economically. What?
About how to care for aging loved ones. Hardworking folks around the country, from Texas to Georgia to Tennessee to California, we hear from folks who are worried that there is a budget in this Congress that would demolish programs like SNAP, Head Start, Medicaid, and generally make their lives harder. And they're
again, let me just repeat, this was a panel on Doge and women and men's sports. Wasn't talking about welfare. Wasn't talking about EBT cards. This is about, boys playing girl sports.
For an end to attacks on schools, on health care, child care, on workplace safety. Instead, over the last few years, there has been this nonstop effort to convince the public that including transgender women in sports harms cisgender women and harms all people in society.
Wait. See how she slid that new word in? It's no longer boys and girls. You're either trans or you're cisgender. Again, let's go ahead and ask Merriam-Webster, what the hell is that word? Where did it come from? Cisgender. I'm a man. You're a woman. You're either Adam or Eve, not Adam and Steve. It's very simple. But just like with everything else, the undocumented, they change the words, and that's part of the propaganda, and it's what they've perpetrated on students and kids to where these kids don't even know the right words. After 8 years of grammar school and then junior high and then high school and then some stupid college, and you hear these things as undocumented and, transformers and cisgenders and pronouns, the kids are coming out whacked because they're not being taught that. This woman's one of the administrators, and she's telling you straight up, I'm here to gaslight you as well. I'm going to use terms that describe what really is going on when it's really not going on. I'm going to lie openly.
But anti-trans sports fans, they actually harm all women. And I have just a few examples that I want to name. For example, denying trans kids the chance to find teammates who have their back, that's harmful. Or harassing Black and brown women and girls for not being, feminine.
Oh, I'll tell you what. When I was in high school and in college, I would have invited any woman, go ahead and put on the pads and the helmets. Come on out. Come on out. Watch what happens. It's always the other way around. I haven't seen many, if any, Transformers who say, I want to go play, with the boys team. No, because people are like, I can't handle that. It's always one way. They're trying to demasculize men. The emphasis right now is taking masculinity and making that something that they can stick on a shelf in a closet and say that's how men used to be. Now it's a different kind of man. You're in touch with your feelings. So go ahead and cut off your junk. Don't have any more kids. Let's stop the population. Everybody will be fine. Cisgender.
Enough. That's harmful. School officials secretly investigating girls' gender to make sure that they are feminine enough to play, that is harmful and that is dangerous. And yes, those things are already happening.
You got any proof of that? Or is it like girls in the shower and going, hey man, something doesn't look like the rest of these things. Yeah. That's not fitting in here. What do you mean investigate? It's the easiest investigation in the world. Oh, okay. You're in the wrong room. It's very simple. What kind of investigation is that?
For example, after Utah passed a trans sports ban, a state school board member posted a picture of a high school student athlete on social media, suggesting that she was transgender. She was not. But she faced such intense cyberbullying and threats to herself and to her family, they had to actually get police protection. So as president and CEO of the National Women's Law Center, it could not be more clear to me. Anti-trans bans, they hurt all women. They're wrong.
All right, so there's probably some ladies in here, and I want to know if anti-trans bans hurt you. Her statement just now in front of Congress is that anti-trans bans hurt, quote, all women. I mean, she's sitting in front of a couple women. There are women up on the panel. There are women who watch this on television. There are women who are watching right now. And I'd like to know how trans bans hurt all women. All. Superlative. They're so used to lying that they don't even realize that people can... Like, wait a second. What do you mean, all? My wife's sitting right out there watching television. Watching her girls from Atlanta, housewives of one of those cities. She doesn't hurt her. She ain't even thinking about it. Crazy.
We won't let them be enacted in the name of protecting women, because they don't protect women. They harm us all, and it's discrimination, period. And if the subcommittee wants to defend women, the National Women's Law Center definitely has ideas about that, ideas that will actually help. Ideas that will combat the real threats to women and girls' safety and equality today. Trans women in sports, it's just not one of them. Thank you.
So
You got nothing to worry about. No. It's not something you even have to worry about. Your daughter, your little daughter who comes home and says, Mom, there was a guy with a weenie in the locker room. No, you're just dreaming. That's just a girl. She's just different. No, Mom, she looked like Freddie. Don't ignore it. Don't worry about it. It'll go away. Hell no. No. That's harming women. I know if my wife, she's my woman. If my wife went down to LA Fitness and she was doing her swimming and she got out of the pool and she walked into the locker room and there's a, hey, what's up? How you doing? No. That's harming a woman. You see, they want to make it as if you're the problem. You don't get it. The guy walking around with the swinging thing, it's no problem. You're just being a prude. You're not understanding it. You're the problem. You're discriminating. She, it, whatever, they're fine here. You're the problem. You're the problem that you see that and you're like, oh, I don't want to see that. No, don't worry about it. You know, if they want to share hairbrushes or something, you should do all the things other girls do. No.
I just want to make it clear where we are. On March 25th, in this very room, my colleague, Ms. Presley, she introduced an amendment to this body. And the amendment was pretty clear, and it said it requested that this body vote down anything, any mention of any policy that would ban racism, that would push forth any clarity around us insinuating as a full body that the Trump administration, when he moved executive orders, that they wouldn't mention or allude to any kind of segregation. My colleagues on the right voted that amendment down, every single one of them. So even if you're not transgender, folks who are watching, I want you to understand why this moment is so important.
Please, tell us.
We have a party who has been very clear about what their intentions are for this country. Very clear about what their intentions are for this country. I think it's bringing us back to a 1950s America where segregation was legal. Who is to say that your African-American daughter, because of her BMI, will be subject to the same kind of conversation? Who is to say, if we move forth in this conversation, that your daughter, who was born a female, would be subjugated, and subject, I should say, to inspection of her genitals when she went up to the mount to play t-ball because she looked a little bit different from other folk? There's a slip.
Yeah, that happens a lot, doesn't it? That's who's getting questioned. I would just like to know, and maybe some of you guys can say, what has happened and what is it about the Democrats that they have all jumped into this bucket? Full bore. Black, white, Hispanic, this is what they want. They're pushing this. Extreme. They call us extreme. They call us cult members. This is insane. It is Frankensteinian. It's crazy. And they're trying to make it as if it's normal. And make us feel bad for even questioning it. This isn't a political ideology at this point. It is a war on your mind. Because what they're trying to tell you is everything that you've known since the time you were a kid doesn't make any sense. God makes mistakes. He meant this one to be a girl. It's no... What? No, I can't. I was talking to Ted Nugent and I said, that's one of the first questions you should ask somebody. Actually, the second. Do you believe in God? They say, no. Okay, gotcha. Not much to talk about. I already have my boundaries. Number 2, can a man have a baby? Yeah, okay. Well, I'm going to finish my coffee and I'm gonna head out because you're whacked. There is no further conversation needed. I don't even want to give your voice in my head. You don't believe in God, and you don't believe that, or you do believe guys can have babies. So I'm just going to check out. You guys have a good day. And I'll know just never to. I'll wave to you in the hallway. But hell no. I'm not going to spend any time doing that. To me, it just disgusts me. It absolutely disgusts me. Before I continue, let me go ahead and handle this little bit of business. All right, so tax day may have passed, but for millions of Americans, the real trouble is just beginning. If you missed the April 15th deadline or still owe back taxes, the IRS is ramping up enforcement. Every day you wait only makes things get worse. With over 5,000 new tax liens filed daily and tools like property seizures, bank levies, and wage garnishments, the IRS is applying pressure at levels we haven't seen in years. Increased administrative scrutiny means collections are moving fast. The good news, there's still time for Tax Network USA to help. If you're self-employed or a business owner, even if your books are a mess, they've got it covered and can help you. Tax Network USA specializes in cleaning up financial chaos and getting you back on track fast, even after the deadline. It's not too late to regain control. Your consultation is completely free, and acting now could stop penalties, threatening letters, and surprise levies before they escalate. Call 1-800-958-1000 or visit tnusa.com/Barry. You might have missed the April 15th deadline, but you haven't run out of options. Let Tax Network USA help you before the IRS makes the next move. Call 1-800-958-1000 or visit tnusa.com/Barry. Make that call. If you miss April 15th or you still owe something, you might want to take advantage of that. All right, so about to go on. Let me take a quick break and grab some water.
Back to Fanfare with Barry Cunningham.
All right, everybody. So in about 15 or 20 minutes or so, I'm going to be jumping over to Rumble. I'm going to post a link, and it'll tell you, hey, listen, go here at this point so you can get to that link. And so I'm going to have to, in a minute, while something's playing here, I'm going to have to get the link and put it in the chat. The mods will be able to do it so you guys can all jump over. All right, let's continue with some news that happened today regarding, and this is absolutely crazy. You know, they're all talking about the different things in regards to Tom, what's his name? Tom Tillis. And we need to get Ed Martin confirmed. We don't get Ed Martin confirmed, Judge Bo Asperger is going to then appoint this guy. We gotta get him confirmed, and the left is frothing at the mouth, hoping that we can't get it done. So take a listen to this.
The day of his inauguration. His interim role is set to expire on May 20th. Martin was also a Stop the Steal organizer who closely aligned himself with January 6th defendants. Now, Republican Senator Tom Tillis of North Carolina says he will oppose Martin's nomination for a full 4-year term for the U.S. attorney position. Specifically, Tillis, who is up for re-election next year, voiced his concerns about Martin's involvement in the defense of people who participated in the January 6th insurrection.
I've indicated to the White House I wouldn't support his nomination. Most of my concerns related to January 6th. I have no tolerance for anybody who entered the building on January the 6th, and that's probably where most of the friction was.
Okay, with Tillis as a no, Martin does not currently have enough support in the Senate Judiciary Committee to move his nomination forward. The panel's chairman, Republican Senator Chuck Grassley of Iowa, said yesterday he won't put any nominees up for consideration if they don't have the votes.
I want president nominees to be successful, and that means we put on people that have the votes. That isn't the end of it, but that's where we are right now.
But do you plan to have a vote on Martin? Do you plan to actually have a vote?
I think I've said all I can say on the subject. You heard what I said.
Joining us now, former state attorney for Palm Beach County, Florida, Dave Ehrenberg. So, Ed Martin, what is the backstory and the concern? And
before you listen to what this guy has to say, understand that Tom Tillis from North Carolina, he voted just about anything that Joe Biden wanted. He voted for Merrick Garland, kept voting for the different people. But some reason, people who went on the White House, or rather the Capitol, that's a no-go. And if you supported those people in any way, we can't have you as the U.S. Attorney in the District of Columbia. Again, these things that don't make sense. Your party's not co-aligned. People aren't working together. They're causing problems. And you just have to keep asking yourself, what the hell's going on? Why is Mike Johnson not whipping these people into shape here? I guess he's a senator, so that would be over there on the other side. John Thune, what are you doing? How do you not have this coalition put in place? If we can't even get the U.S. Attorney confirmed, how are we going to get all this other stuff done? But anyway, here's them gleefully talking about Tom Tillis.
What do you make of Tom Tillis stepping up?
Good to be with you, Mika. Ed Martin has no business being the U.S. Attorney for Washington, D.C. This guy has never been a prosecutor ever before. He was appointed because of politics, because he represented a bunch of insurrectionists. And in addition to that, he also misled the Senate. He appeared on Russian TV more than 150 times and refused to disclose that until called on it. So the Senate wasn't pleased with that. He was serving as Putin's useful idiot on TV and didn't want people to know about it. And then on top of that, he is friends with this Nazi sympathizer. It's more than that. He actually gave this guy an award. He called him extraordinary. This is a guy who dresses up as Adolf Hitler, who has a copy of Mein Kampf, who has made horrible comments about Jewish people. And so at the very least, he knew that this guy, Timothy Hale, had dressed up as Hitler. Martin's excuse is that he was ignorant of the rest of his Nazi sympathizing. So either he's covering it up or his head is so deep in the sand that it makes it all that it's disqualifying. Either way, you can rest assured, Mika, that the other Republican senators are giving Tillis a pat in the back because they did not want to go on the board and have to vote for this guy. So behind closed doors, I'm sure they're very pleased with their colleague from North Carolina.
MAGA world.
These guys love to gloat about this stuff. They have no idea. He has no idea what's going on behind closed doors. But there's obviously, again, a fissure, a fractioning, whatever you want to call it. We're not aligned. The Republican Party doesn't know how to win. You've got a chance to alter the course of history, to change America. And you're telling me you don't want to vote for this guy because he's got a friend that dressed up in a costume, and oh my God, he's got a copy of Mein Kampf in his library. You know what? I don't think it's there. It might be in the garage. But guess who else has got a copy of Mein Kampf? It's literature, moron. What are you, an idiot? It's a book.
Always does like a fight, and we've already seen the last few hours, again overnight into this morning, some of their loudest voices saying, hey, Ed Martin should be confirmed. We should go to war, political war for this. But to Dave's point there, Tillis, his opposition signals an uneasiness among a number of Republicans. That's what I've been hearing, for weeks now. Martin has taken, it's not just his unsavory company he keeps, but also some of his, the January 6th ties, the fact that he has threatened to use his powers, his interim powers there, to go after sitting members of Congress, including Congressman Garcia of California. He's talked about going after the Associated Press for their coverage because they wouldn't use the words Gulf of America as President Trump wanted, just simply, defying the actual powers of his office. So, we will see here.
The thing with this is I don't have a problem with these guys acting like complete nuts. To me, they have to. They're speaking to a liberal audience. But the problem I'm having is Tom Tillis, you're sitting back and you're hearing these people talk about you, and they're putting the label on you. They're putting the label saying, you're against insurrectionists and all these, and you're letting it happen. You're letting them throw a party on your behalf. Something tells you at that point, you might as well just change your designation. You're not an R. You're definitely not MAGA. You might as well go independent or Democrat. It's disgusting. Now, if people were talking about me on MSNBC and they were saying, oh, well, Barry's doing this, he's going to throw a wrench into everything, and he's actually, other people are patting him on the shoulder saying, good job. Man, you're a man. And you're letting these people talk about you like that and your party and America.
White House does. We will see what other Republicans say. But, Mika, there's certainly a sense here that Martin, and maybe Martin alone, it's a rare moment where the GOP says no to someone that President Trump wants. But that appears to be the path we're on right now.
Yeah. The Supreme Court has ruled President.
Welcome news today in the saga of Donald Trump's worst government nominee. Republican Senator Tom Tillis of North Carolina.
Now, this guy's one of the worst. And he starts his broadcast off with, what's he say? Welcome news. This makes my day. It's welcome that we were seeing people on the right fight back. Now, I was going to play all his piece here, but he talks to Adam Schiff and everything. And I've just had it. I've completely had it. Maybe it's because of what happened today. But I've just looked at these people, and I realize at this point that we're in a situation where it's making me sick. When we have a chance, we've elected somebody that we wanted finally, who is doing so well, who's got such great ideas to help America, and the infighting, the Judas type people in our own party, supposedly. And that's why I hate saying, Republican. I mean, how bad does it piss you off that we can't get anything done like this? So and they're happy about it, and they're gloating, and it just makes it even worse, I guess. So I want to show you this. This is really important. But by the way, I'm going to put up the banner right now. I'm going to leave it up while we go through these next sections. And so, boom. So if you want to join us in the after party, which is coming up in about 10 minutes, I'd go ahead and this stream is still streaming over on Rumble. And what's going to happen is in about 10 minutes, I'm going to hit a switch and the YouTube stream is going to end. And X is going to end. You will not be able to see anything else. The deal and partnership that I've got with Rumble is like, hey, Barry, can you finish your show off over here? Can you spend the last hour on Rumble? And I'm like, sure, let's try it. Let's give it a shot. And it's been working extremely well. So just to let you know, in about 10 or 15 minutes, you're going to have to jump over to that link. And when you jump over to that link, May 7th, today, I changed that by the day. Yesterday was May 6th. Today's May 7th. You're going to jump over. It's going to take you right to the Rumble page, and you can begin watching us over there. But in the interim, I'm going to leave it at the bottom so you guys can see this. So let's go.
Yeah, and you mentioned White House Deputy Chief of Staff Stephen Miller, who's obviously very influential. He put out a definition of due process on Twitter or X this morning. He said, quote, "The right of due process is to protect citizens from their government, not to protect foreign trespassers from removal. Due process guarantees the right of a criminal defendant facing prosecution, not an illegal alien facing deportation," unquote. Your response?
My response is that he doesn't know what he's talking about. Due process, as Justice Scalia said, protects all persons in the country, aliens, citizens, all persons. And if you say, well, it doesn't protect the people that the president thinks are violent criminals or illegals or whatever he wants to call them, that begs the question, who determines whether somebody is deportable? Who determines whether somebody doesn't belong here or is a violent criminal? Certainly not the president. He can't be judge, jury, executioner all at once.
So what's very interesting is that this just, again, like a transformer, just appeared. All the other presidents had deported people. There was no idea about due process. Every single lawyer on the left, they had no idea. Due process just appeared as a, I don't know, some sort of revelation that they had. And like, oh, all of a sudden today, 2025, we're going to say it's all due process. You can't do this. The same people who were in office and who were on television as little as 3 years ago, now all of a sudden have found Jesus in a different way. And they're telling everybody that due process doesn't mean what you think it means. That's what makes it so hard with these people, is because everything they're doing, from the transformer talk to the due process argument, they only can say this because they expect you to forget 4 years ago. Forget everything you've known before today. Today now, we have this thing called due process, which doesn't allow you to take anybody out of the country. Well, where were you in 2004, 2005, 2009, 2010? This gentleman is not a spring chicken. He's been around for a while, Lawrence Tribe. Did it never dawn on you then? I mean, you're supposed to be a constitutional attorney. You're supposed to be a constitutional expert. How did you just think now in 2025, oh my goodness, this clause here says nobody can ever leave? It's like the Roche Motel. The Roche Motel has become the United States. You can enter, but you can't leave. Nobody can leave. Maybe it's like Mad Max at Thunderdome. I have no idea, but now they're like, this is just some kind of domed country where if you can get in under the dome, you don't ever have to worry about leaving. But what's funny about these two clips I've got side by side for you is they're both on liberal stations. So this attorney, Lawrence Tribe, Harvard, of course, is saying one thing. And then it's going to flip and you're going to hear the exact opposite.
To take unto himself the powers of every branch of government, including now the judicial branch. He says basically due process is inconvenient. How can we have hearings for all of these people? Well, that's all very nice, I guess. If you want to amend the Constitution and say that all persons are entitled to due process of law unless it would take too long to treat them fairly. That's not the Constitution that this country would ever agree to live by, and it's certainly not the one that this president swore to uphold on January 20th of this year.
Yeah.
Review. How is that not a violation of the Fifth Amendment, but suddenly it's a violation of the Fifth Amendment if the Trump administration does it?
Well, the short answer, back then we're talking about immigration law. The Alien Enemy Act is actually not part of immigration law.
So we have three things. And as we said, excuse me for interrupting, but we have the Alien Enemy Act, which the South Texas judges said is illegal. We have what's happened in Venezuela. But then we have general deportation. That's what I'm talking about right here.
Yep. So federal law allows for even broader and speedy removal than has been used in the past. And expedited removal, as you talked about, allows for summary removal. That means no entitlement even to a hearing, possibly within 24 hours. It hasn't been used as broadly as, say, the Trump administration might want to use it, but under the statute, it is permissible to remove aliens who arrive at the border and even those who have been here for 2 years, although that 2-year provision you talked about is the lesser used in practice. But just because it isn't used very often doesn't mean it's not a part of federal law that can be used. And it will be used because it's permitted under federal law. The Congress.
Are you confused? I told you this was a show about confusion. Can't believe I heard one of the best explanations about this on a liberal channel. He just spelled it out. No, it's legal. You can get them out. So what are we talking about here? How are these judges interpreting it differently? Go away. I mean, it's incredible to me how people look at the same piece of paper and come up with 25 different decisions on what they just read. And so that's part of the reason why you can tell that this is all BS. Complete BS, and nobody seems to have any idea what's going on whatsoever, or just basically to what suits somebody. And that's just not how it's supposed to be. Now, this is an interesting story, and I want to show you this. Watch this guy here as he actually admits to, I'll play it and you guys can hear. I'm trying to get it to that right point so you don't have to see. Okay, here we go. Let's watch it.
The courts would shut down.
Hey guys, right now we're outside of Chef Jeff's restaurant where this morning ICE agents came in, asked staff for their I-9 forms, and sent workers into a panic. Same thing happened at several restaurants around the district, down the street about a mile away at Millie's. Here's their reaction from D.C. Mayor Muriel Bowser.
It's very concerning. The employees are very scared. We're worried about some of them not coming back to work.
Why would your employees be scared and not thinking about coming back to work? Perhaps did this guy just tell on himself? I've been hiring illegals. Oops, sorry. Newcomers. I've been hiring a whole bunch of them. Because why would you have any worry about getting picked up? Like, no, I'm fine. Freddie, you coming to work? Yeah, I'm good. Luis. Oh, yeah, well, we ain't seen him. He's worried about getting picked up. Guess what? That's probably the first indication. You don't need much more than to just go on camera and tell everybody in the world, yeah, some of my employees are worried about coming back. So you just incriminated yourself. And this guy, well, you'll hear, it's crazy.
And just a general panic amongst the people that it affects.
It's very high anxiety. It's very anxiety inducing. I just think it's really terrible right now that ICE is taking people and sending them away to El Salvador and to these other countries and to what are basically concentration camps.
I have heard those reports. I've been getting them all morning. I am disturbed by them. It appears.
You recognize her, don't you? She was in the Oval Office Monday with the whole NFL draft thing, standing right behind President Trump, looking really uncomfortable. If you felt uncomfortable and you're worried about the reports, why didn't you just ask him while you were there? You wouldn't have to worry. You know, hey, I've heard the reports where they're going in here and making people feel, nauseous and stuff. And people are breaking out in diarrhea because they just can't understand what's going on. Well, maybe they shouldn't be here. I'm just saying.
That ICE is at restaurants or even in neighborhoods, and it doesn't look like they're targeting criminals. And so it is disrupting. I want to be clear, this is not an MPD action, no MPD activity involved.
Now, nearly a dozen law enforcement and immigration officials, some wearing plainclothes, some wearing DHS uniforms, came into Chef Jeff's restaurant on New Mexico Avenue Northwest around 10:30 Tuesday morning. We're told no one was taken into custody. The agents were here for about an hour and a half. We've also heard of similar enforcement happening at restaurants in DuPont Circle, Shaw, Columbia Heights today. As you heard, one of them was Millie's, that's off Mass Avenue, telling me about 8 agents came right when they opened this morning, again asking to see those I-9 forms. They had a warrant signed by an ICE agent, not by a judge. No one was taken into custody there either. I-9 forms, by the way, are the employment verification forms used to make sure employees are legally allowed to work in the United States. Rumors about these ICE raids in D.C. started over the weekend. Immigrant support organizations say they want people to have a plan in place. The group Migrant Solidarity Mutual Aid sharing on their social media photos and videos of agents sent to them by community members. Along with the rights, they want people to remember the most important ones: the right to remain silent, call an attorney if you can, and do not sign any documents.
Unfortunately, fear is the goal as these happen.
No. Fear is not the goal. The goal is not fear. The goal is to get them out. The objective here is, if you're not supposed to be here, I'm not trying to scare you. I'm trying to get you the hell out of here. Whether it's by self-deportation or if we got to give you the ride, one or the other. That's the objective. It's not fear. Why would you be fearful? Oh, you're not supposed to be here. You're causing your own fear. You don't have to be afraid. You can call up. Hey, listen, yeah, you got me. Can I get that plane ride? Yeah, I'll meet you guys tomorrow at 10. And do I get that check? Yeah, what is it, $5,000? Yeah. All right, I'm good. I'll meet you over there. What are you fearful about? Liars, absolute liars. Got some breaking news coming up too.
Whether in DC or across the country. But what we're also seeing is a lot of solidarity within the DC community.
There was no one detained or arrested that I've heard of. But regardless of that fact, disrupting food service during lunch hours while restaurants are open is alarming, and we are concerned about the fear-mongering tactics that we believe happened today.
You have to be a idiot for it to believe this stuff. Fear-mongering. So you're all admitting at this point that you're hiring these newcomers. You're basically using them as slave labor, and you're mad that ICE is coming to get your cheap employees. Now, here's where it's going to get really good. Watch what happens next. When they start looking at the books, and they find out that these employees have been working, I don't know, a year or 6 months, and it's all under the table. See, now I've got reasonable cause to look in your books. You're telling me your employees are mad, so your employees, they're working for you. Did you file taxes on them? Is your payroll tax? Oh yeah, this is going to get really good. These people are so screwed, they don't even know how screwed they are.
It's the Restaurant Association of Metropolitan Washington telling me that this I-9 audit could have been done in a more proactive way. And we just heard here in the last few minutes that immigration officials are still going into restaurants at this hour asking for those employment verification forms. We're still waiting to hear back from DHS and ICE officials if anybody was arrested or detained today. Guys?
Oops. Oh well. Whatever. All right, so I got some breaking news I want to share, and then right after the breaking news, we're going to make the jump. So there's the jump information. Get yourself ready for it. Actually, what I'm going to do is I'll save the breaking news till after the jump. Let me read off the YouTube super chats, because I'm not sure if people will be jumping over with us, and I don't want people to feel like I didn't acknowledge their generosity. So let me do this first, and then we're going to be jumping. We're jumping, people. We're about to have some good time fun. Okay, let me get to the right page here. That's going to be this one, and we're going to move this over here. All right, so here we go. You guys can see this. Yes. For Bibles, Barry, God bless you and family. Hey, Crow, guess what? I just got a whole bunch of friends for this one. We just brought in another 100 of these. Another 100 Bibles that are going to be going out this weekend. Another 100. So if you haven't got yours yet, help is on the way. And I literally mean help. The good word is coming to you. Job for 9. Please smash the like and Barry Monster Truck. Don't tell me how to live. Just another knucklehead. Tip jar came back. Hey, thank you. Captain Danny. Rhinos will stab Trump in the back at every turn. Jennifer, do I have an X account that is unverified? No, I don't. There are a couple imposters, just like with Monica and other people I know. I guess they have fun trying to. No, I will never ask anybody for any money. I will never ask anybody to do anything stupid like that. So no, my X account is verified. Captain Danny, Ashley Babbitt was murdered. Yeah, my humble opinion. Pray for her. Absolutely. Peter Ortiz, not justified. What the F? Wait a minute. Ashley's sending me something. Not justified. What the F? He shot her in the face, unarmed, holding others back. My rhinoceros, he sounds defeated, demoralized, and humbled. I wouldn't be surprised if Cash's hair starts turning gray in the next coming months. Well, he got some fire under him. Vielka, I think DOJ is doing some smoke screen to keep Democrats off focus. When you least expect the big fishes will fail, something big is coming. I feel that. Actually, I have some news to share with you that is real big. Peter Ortiz, save our children is first priority. Sex tapes from Epstein last. Internal combustion. You said earlier that we have to ask questions, but when people ask questions about Bondi, you shut it down. I can't support red flag laws. I don't shut down questions. If the mods are looking at something, they don't want people being nasty. You know, you can say ask a question about Pam Bondi without saying she's effing stupid or something like that. That's not a question. There's a difference. You got to have decorum. Free speech does not mean you can say whatever you want. That's not the definition of it, but I appreciate what you said. Miss Avi, Democrats try to hold it, then explode it like massively. God bless America. Barry, I think Lorena Bobbitt was the first to perform that surgery. Oh, wow. You're going way back. But if you guys remember who Lorena Bobbitt was, BLS Doom Crew. Bear, I got a question. If you work in construction and you're trans, are you a construction? It's too confusing. Rhinoceros. To add to BLS, it's not a hammer, it's a violent nail murder device. Nobody deserves to be pounded. You guys are nasty. Funny but nasty. Joy Kirkland. It's funny how there were never any so-called inspections until they let the boys in girls' sports. Just saying. Exactly. This trans nonsense is based on feeling. It's not based on biological norms. Exactly. Lisa Peer, my 24-year-old son became Lucy, then woke up and back to himself. Had to know how. He's very smart. I asked. He said brainwashed by the media. Congratulations, and God bless that he got him back. Ernest Walker, the IRS owes me over 33 years of returns. Whew, that's crazy. Nathan Hardcastle, hey Barry, how do I send you an email so I can share with you a brief story about how my ancestors, the Cherokee people, came to this land a long time ago? You would send that to show mail, the words SHOW, show mail at fanfareshop.org. Mavericks, sorry about my language. I've never been put in timeout before. Buddy Sanders, my granddaughters quit high school sports because of Transformers in their sports. That's a shame. Dave Rutan from Canada. That lady saying women won't be hurt by trans competing in sports didn't see the two boxers in the Olympics. Yeah, that was awful. Why? How could you pound on those girls? Born on the 4th. Ever notice how often evil idiots, libs at committee meetings say, let me move on, when they're embarrassed by common sense responses? Yeah, or they say yes or no, yes or no. Don't want your answer. Victoria Winston, Barry, they aren't trans if they still have their junk. They just say they're... Good point. Yeah, if you're going to do it, do it. Do it. Cut it off. Daryl, the real devil is in the details. Yes. John Owens, there will be a surprise. There will be a surprise is coming. I agree. Debbie Gandy, Congress on a long weekend. Time for recess. Work's so tough. Mr. Mike, where'd that go? The whole trans thing is false indoctrination. Thank God I'm a Christian and I follow the Bible. There is either man or woman. End of story. Don't let little g creep in. Thank you. Debbie Gandy on the crazy train. Barry, love your new format. Crazy train, I'm saving for Friday. Ed Sloan, Land of Confusion, Phil Collins. Yes, that's a good one. Maximus, twice. Barry, I'll just say this. A lot of agencies are loaning out officers to ICE on the DL. Just saying. Okay. And where's that last one? It's kind of buried. That Capitol cop is substandard. He was disciplined for things with a firearm. Yeah, a lot of stuff that they're not letting people know about. So let me just see. My phone's going off here. I don't know if it's SV or Ashley. They both just throwing it over. SV, Ashley just sent that to me. So I've got a couple breaking news things. We're going to do that after the break. It's not really a break. We're just going to jump over. And when we jump over, we're going to be on the other side. So right now, thank you for hanging out here on YouTube. The party gets ready to start over on Rumble. All right, everybody ready to break? You ready to break? All right, get over there. Get over there. We'll see you in a second.